So for Strategic Command, it was just a project that I gave myself immediately after I graduated from university in computer science. So it was something that I wanted to experiment to see if I could make a game on my own, based on games that I enjoyed playing on the PC at the time. And I figured it was a 6 month project before I look for a job, and let's just see how it goes. And so the 6 month project ended up turning into a 2 year project. It took way longer than I thought it was going to take, and but I finished it, and I looked for a publisher. Battlefront was reached out to me. They agreed to publish it, and it did well. And it did well enough that I ended up continuing with the projects and making more games. And here I am, 20 years later, still working on Strategic Command games. And now I've done 4 games with Matrix Games. They've all done really, really well. I'm very happy with how they've done, how they've been received. Players seem to really like the style of the games that we make, and that's pretty much the history of how I got from A to B on Strategic Command. Well, it's been great. It's been fantastic, actually. So the first time that happened for me was in 2008, where I met Bill Runacre as a modder, and he was working on a couple of mods. We started talking, and I, threw out the idea of let's see if we can try and turn one of these mods into an actual game. Would you be interested in working on it officially? So the first game that we did together was a Pacific Theater game, and it went really well. And so I've been working with Bill ever since then, and we've kind of essentially partnered up to work on every game after that. So including all the games we've done with Matrix Games and so on. And it's happened a few times over. So we've done essentially what we started to do was we saw that that was a formula that worked, and we looked at other modders that were doing really good work, and we just kind of did the same idea. Well, let's partner up. Let's divide and conquer. You've obviously got good skills in making maps or making scenarios, and let's see if we can work together to polish them up and turn them into the professional level product that we want to release as an official game. So we've done that with a couple of other modders, including the latest one, which is the American Civil War game with Ryan O'Shea. So for him, his story was that he grew up watching his dad play the games, and he was, I think, 10 years old when he first got introduced to Strategic Command. And from there, he started designing his own mods, and then eventually got to the point where he actually approached us and said, "Hey, I have an idea for a game. Would you guys be interested in it?" And long story short, that's the current American Civil War game that we've released with you guys. So the basic design principle that we have with the game was to keep it simple. Uh, 1 unit per hex, a kind of a simple style of combat, and simple rules, basic supply, those kinds of things. So it works really well for our initial design, which was the War in Europe design, and then we can modify that to design a global map, and we had to kind of work with the scale, make sure that it would work correctly with a larger map, or in terms of having more of the world in a single map. And then when it came to a game like the American Civil War, some of that would have been a challenge if we decided to keep everything exactly the way it was. So one of the issues with the American Civil War is that not battles weren't fought completely on wide fronts like a World War One style, that kind of thing. So the design compromise there was to just have a much larger map, so we can kind of keep the same essence of what makes Strategic Command, but we had to kind of adapt it to the reality of what would be needed to have an American Civil War game feel about right and feel like it would work properly. So on a strategic level, we felt it works fantastic. There are some criticisms, let's say, on the tactical level. It doesn't quite feel exactly right because there's no stacking. Battles were more concentrated on, the equivalent of a single hex. But you know, some of that is just give and take. So if you're happy enough to play a grand strategy game using the Strategic Command system with a few compromises, but a much larger map that kind of brings you as close as possible to what you really feel that the war should feel like, that's what we accomplished, and that's how we did it. with every iteration, we try and improve the look and feel. So I think we like the basic design of the game. We wouldn't want to make it more complex. I mean, every iteration adds certain layers. The players always want a little bit more complexity, and so we're always guarded against that because we still want to make sure it's approachable and easy enough to play. But we also understand how, if we add X or Y to the game, it might make it feel a little more realistic, and so we try to always balance that out. But I don't know if we'd want to go more complex. We definitely want to keep that formula the same, but look and feel would be improvements that we would be happy to do. Maybe add more dynamic layers to it. Maybe improve on things like how the diplomacy works, how research works. But in terms of the overall feel, we still like the way it plays, and we wouldn't really want to change that too much. But definitely, if we could, let's say we use a 3D engine and we just kind of make it more powerful, so things like zoom would work better. A lot of times players would like more layers of zoom, and switching from a 2D engine to a 3D engine, but still keeping that sort of overtop, tabletop view, but a little bit enhanced, looking better. Those are certainly ways that we can improve the game going forward. So what Ryan has been working on is a series of campaigns that we're going to add, essentially under the umbrella of the American Civil War. So some of them will be specific to the Civil War. Some of them are just additional bonus campaigns that fit the time period. So we have he's going to do the Mexican American War, so just before the American Civil War, um, Spanish American War, and as well as the Franco-Prussian War campaign, which is something that I know a lot of players have been asking about, and we had something similar to this in the past, but this is a brand new campaign using the latest engine, and I think a lot of players will be very happy to see this.